Hey guys, it is day something of the quarantine, and I just realized that as I say that I am done talking about the quarantine, because this is just where we are in this moment of time. Things will change, life will open back up, so let's just leave it at that. Actually, I just spent way too much time on it than I wanted to, and I'm still wasting time not talking about it. So, topic today, the thoughts in your head. Brian and I just got off of a 2-hour plus webinar where we started talking about unraveling all the thinking, and especially as it comes to those self-limiting beliefs, stories that you make up about dating and about approaching women that you're really attracted to. And at one point I opened it up to the 125 guys watching, said, if you see a beautiful woman, what is the first thought that jumps into your head? And it was a deluge of responses. So I took a little time and I went over them, and here on my handy iPad. The first thing I noticed was there was a woman on the call, and after seeing this deluge of responses of self-limiting beliefs, she wrote, "I never realized how hard life was for a guy." That's from a woman's perspective. And so it's not just us who have anxiety around sex and relationship, connecting with the opposite sex. It's women too. I categorize these. First, I'll call the outside-in beliefs, which are, what if she doesn't like me? Maybe she's busy. Maybe she has a boyfriend. I hope she's not mean. Now, by the way, if anybody's listening and that these are thoughts, I think we all share some version of all these thoughts. But these thoughts are what I would call the outside-in types of thoughts, which is you are imagining what their reality is. And as I brought it up on the call, that Violet, Johnny Soporno's partner, I asked her about this years ago, and she actually got upset. She said, "How dare you or any other man decide for me what I'm interested in and what I'm not interested in? It's almost narcissistic. Don't imagine, find out." And I think that was it kind of shocked me when she said that the first time. Then there are these, this is sort of an extension of that, self-imposed beliefs about her, which is, I don't want to bother her. So many guys are hitting on her. She won't be interested in me. And she looks busy, or she looks like she's in a hurry. These kinds of thoughts come up when it's an overwhelm. When you want to talk to a woman, there's an overwhelm of emotion often. And so immediately, I don't want to bother her, I'll be bothering her, is a go-to excuse in your head that says nothing about her, but says everything about your overwhelm of emotions. You get into a habit, as I do too, of making up someone else's mind for them. We talked briefly in the call about how the unknown, the uncertainty of life, in this case women, is what is creating the anxiety. But it's conversely, which is even more true, which is the unknown is filled with infinite possibilities. Within the known, there's one possibility. That's your life, the way you go. But as you step into the tension of the unknown, all of a sudden life expands, and that's where the freedom is. Then, oh my God, then we have so many self-limiting self-beliefs. Here's a bunch right here. She wouldn't be into me. That kind of overlaps with the last one. I am boring. I wonder if she'll see that I'm out of my mind, which I love that. Then this guy wrote, think of something to say, think of something to say, think of something to say, think of something to say. It's just funny. I need work on my skills first before talking to her. What the fuck am I going to say? What do I say after I say hello? I get it. It's not that you don't have anything to say. It's just that your nervous system is overwhelmed. And until you start stepping into the tension of talking to women, that will never be resolved. It's not going to be resolved by meditating or doing all your inner work. The inner work has to be brought to the surface by the outer work, which is action in the world. Now, you don't have to say, what I'm not saying is go out and tell beautiful women they're hot and that you want to fuck them. That's just going to fry your nervous system, and it's not going to get you anywhere. You can start just by saying hello to other human beings. You can talk to women, just ask them where a Starbucks is. I have another video about this called an indirect approach. Just asking questions, being curious. You can rise the tension up by offering, just giving away compliments to people, to women, to older ladies, the old lady who went out of her way on a Sunday to wear a pretty dress. This is going to introduce you to the outside world. Then we had the answers that were in apathy. Apathy is an overwhelm of emotion, but they're all caving in on top of each other. This leads to a sense of numbness. I can't. Why bother? What's the point? And some of the answers were, I can't. Why bother? Right there. And this will end just like the others. As we talked about on the call, the outside world is far kinder than your inside world. But there's a caveat to that, and Brian brought it up. If you have a deep belief system or an apathetic emotional system that nothing's going to change, and you walk up to a woman and you say, hi, with the energy of this isn't going to work, it's not going to work. If you approach things with at least some awareness around your apathy, then that's the first step. I'm in apathy. I'm going to test out if I can open a little bit and see how the world shows up to me. And maybe the response is a little different. And the world will start to show up. If you say hello in your grief or in your apathy or in your fear that's caving back in on itself, you are perpetuating a story over and over and over again. Awareness is the first step. Subtle apathy is really interesting because guys don't know that they're doing it. I would do this a lot. When a beautiful woman passes and you say to yourself, I don't have time right now. That means you're chosen not to feel the tension of the situation inside of you, and you are making up an excuse that feels good to your ego. Your ego says, oh, good, now we can go back to whatever important fucking thing I was doing in the first place. So these answers were, I have more important things to do. I'm attracted to the brain. I don't have time. I love that. I'm attracted to the brain, so I'm not going to talk to that beautiful woman who I find sexy because I'm into the brain. My ego tells me I have more important things to do. There it is again. Damn. He said, right? God damn, then don't bother her. That goes to the ones up front. Then we had the ones that were about control. And I get this, is that stepping into the unknown with a woman that you find attractive feels out of control. And because you can't, who knows what's going to happen? And in this control, some guys wrote, I have to prepare so I can control the outcome, LOL. How do I approach her without pissing her off? What should I say? What do I say to keep her here and not be boring? Some things, everything outside of ourselves is out of our control. And the excitement comes when you surrender to the sizzle of the unknown. When you approach a woman and you don't know what to say, you can say that. Gosh, I've just run out of things to say. Tell me about you. Or confess. I imagine you could walk up to a girl and say, look, I really want to talk to you. And you start talking and then say, boy, I really want you to stay. And my mind is trying to figure ways to make you stay. It's so honest. And if you're doing it to not try to control her, you can't confess trying to control a woman and while trying to control her. That's a double manipulation. And then finally, these ones just get me, and I've seen this over and over, is actual physical or societal danger. There are many of these. I'm going to end up on Twitter. I think some dude will come out of nowhere and beat my ass. She might call the cops. Sometimes I think I could get beaten up by her gangster boyfriend. LOL. A guy said I had a fear of getting beaten up and yelled at by people around her, or the police will come to me and arrest me for harassing her. Wow. All this fear around simply wanting to talk to a girl. I imagine there are places and situations where you wouldn't talk to a girl because you might find it dangerous. Zan Perian talks about how he thought the women of Serbia were so beautiful, but the men of Serbia were so dangerous that he had to talk himself out of fights over the 3 days he was there just for talking to women. So this sort of fear of danger is just your deepest fear manifesting in an insane belief. The chances of you getting beaten up or harassed or arrested are so slim that it feels preposterous to talk about, but it's not preposterous to talk about because it's a real fear inside of men. The Me Too movement did not help this at all. So as I said in the webinar, you have these beliefs and you have these feelings. And the trick is to let the beliefs float. You don't try to replace them with better thoughts. You don't have to judge them. You don't have to believe in them. You don't have to do anything with them. But it's just let them float like clouds, or like they're just attached to helium balloons. And what's left is a deep feeling inside of you. Not to be judged. It could be fear, or it could be sadness, or it could be some kind of apathy or numbness. So once you release the story, just a little bit, you don't have to get rid of it, but just enough so you can feel underneath it and realize that the thought and the feeling, while they seem like they're glued together, don't necessarily have to be. That's the thing about belief systems or self-belief systems, that they were introduced from the outside. They have nothing to do with you. You didn't create them. If you have a belief in you, which is, I'm unworthy, the belief, the thought, I'm unworthy, did not come from you. It entered with an emotional charge. Whoever would say, you're unworthy, charged it with an emotion, and it got injected into you. And now, it's your responsibility. You're accountable to this thinking. And as you start to see that the thoughts and the feelings don't necessarily have to go together, and that the feeling underneath is so juicy and so real and makes up so much of you that it wants to be embraced and revealed and brought to the surface and just find its place in your life. So that's it. It's went a lot longer than I thought. Anyway, thanks for listening, and watch your thoughts and feel your feelings. I'll end it at that.